Hello once again, Kata Kosman, publisher of Madison's Lumber Reporter. Today I'm going to give a little bit of a special update talking about panel, meaning plywood and OSB prices. I realize I haven't done an update on that for YouTube in quite a while or for my website. It's pretty important data. Like I've been explaining since this whole year, lumber is a good leading indicator for economic conditions, especially for housing. Plywood and OSB are good leading indicators of lumber prices. There are much fewer plywood and OSB mills across North America than there are dimension lumber, and fewer companies who produce these products. So it's a little bit more of a disciplined marketplace where lumber prices can fall quite low, as it only takes one or two sawmill or even wholesaler to put on a sale and undersell everyone. It doesn't really happen with plywood and OSB. Those suppliers, if the customer is trying to make a counter offer of a price that they consider to be too low, they will simply go off the market. They won't sell. They won't sell below cost of production. They won't sell below what they would consider, proper business for themselves. And like I said, because there's fewer of these mills, and fewer companies, that kind of discipline is really possible. So let's quickly go look at the graphs, and then I'll come back and explain a few of the reasoning behind what has happened to make the OSB and plywood prices so flat all the way through September and October, and what possibly we can expect coming up for the rest of this year. Okay, some very important things to note. My dimension lumber prices are US dollars per thousand board feet, but my panel, the OSB and plywood prices, are Canadian dollars per thousand square feet. That's an important distinction that people should want to know. The pink line is Canadian Softwood Plywood 9.5 millimeters or 3/8 inch out of Toronto, and the yellow line is Oriented Strand Board OSB, Ontario, 7/16 inches. Similar to the lumber price graphs, but a little bit different in that those up and downs were moderated, as I said, because the plywood and OSB prices just don't go far down below the cost of production. Now, that skyrocket a few months ago and then that plummet can be accounted for by the difficulty getting resin, as I was explaining before. However, that got worked out. The customers received what they had ordered, 2 months in advance or longer. And now the price seems to be settling down into something where you could consider a good equilibrium. So the actual price data, and some people say plywood is king and some people say OSB is king. They're both crucial for many reasons. Lots of building or other activity cannot happen with some kind of panel. So at the end of October, the OSB price fell by $20 to Canadian 550 per thousand square feet, which is down by $16 from 1 month ago when it was 566. 1 year ago, it was 930, and 2 years ago, it was 285. As for plywood, the price has been flat for more than a month at Canadian 559 per thousand square feet. In 1 year ago, in October of 2020, that price was 766. 2 years ago, that price was 430. So those two very flat looking lines from January 2019 onward are what we would consider normal. Okay, and so people will remember the update that I made at the beginning of this or early in the summer, explaining why the plywood and OSB prices were reaching up so high. There was a real problem with production materials, specifically resin. The glue used to hold the pieces together, whether it's plywood or OSB. Almost all of it comes from China, and there was a real problem with supply. And so back then in like May and June, the plywood and OSB mills were booked out to October. Now we have production has caught up. The supply of resin, it came in, it's not a problem anymore. There's plenty to be had. And the customers who had been preparing for, restricted supply went and bought ahead. Okay, and so that's one of the reasons why on the graphs that you just saw, the prices were running so flat for well, I mean, they went way up, but then they came back down and were really flat for quite a few weeks now, almost 2 months. Um, the customers had booked ahead and even given supply delays, have received their product at this point. And so they don't really need to order right now. And like normally, this is not a time of year to be breaking ground on a new home. And so the expectation by the customer is that they might not even need to restock what they've already got to the end of this year. So that means that the supply is strong and the sales are low. When the volume of sales are low, it's a little bit difficult to get a price. Like I said at the beginning of this video, when things are soft for plywood and OSB sales, the producers just go off the market. They won't sell below the price that they think is fair. On the other side of things is we've had quite some bad weather, in the north and across North America. It's already started to be winter, causing a problem with job sites. And so the actual construction activity is being delayed, not just because supply chain problems or difficulty getting workers, but actually not being able to go into the job site. For example, here in British Columbia, we had epic torrential rain, which we normally have torrential rain, but I was talking about it in my other video, atmospheric river. Anyway, a job site that's underwater, it can't work, right? I mean, that's obvious. So I'll leave it at that for now. Click subscribe here on my YouTube, but you'll only get these small updates that I make, quite a lag, like 4 weeks later, after my lumber price data comes out. If you're more interested in details, go on my website. The link is in the caption, madisonsreport.com. And along the top on the menu there, you'll see a subscribe link. You are able to ask for a free sample, and we'll send you the list of 450 individual lumber and panel commodity prices for that week. And we will send you the market commentary explaining why the prices are changing. Okay, thank you.